Ubisoft just uploaded a teaser trailer for what they're going to be showing off tomorrow at Game Awards 2018. This is the next Far Cry game. Getting right to the point, this game is going to be a post-apocalyptic game, and it seems to be blatantly a sequel to Far Cry 5 if you listen to the voiceovers of the trailer. I'm not going to fully break down this teaser trailer, I'm not one of those channels, but I want to talk about this a little bit because there are some interesting things. I'm more than willing to bet that this is just a true direct sequel to Far Cry 5. The voiceover mentions a valley, clearly referencing the valley in Far Cry 5. But in the voiceover, he also talks about time passing, so this seems to happen many years in the future. So I don't know if you're going to be playing as the same character, or what really is going to be going on there. What I do know is that the voice actor for Joseph Seed was in Ubisoft Studio not too long ago. So again, this clearly seems to be a sequel to Far Cry 5. This would also make sense by the ending of Far Cry 5, as abysmal as it was. It seems like they had this in mind the entire time. Doesn't exactly excuse how awful that ending was, but at least it makes more sense. It would also make sense as to why they outsourced all the expansions for Far Cry 5. Yes, it was an Ubisoft team, but it wasn't the Far Cry Ubisoft team. It wasn't Ubisoft Montreal. The reason I'm bringing this up is because the last Far Cry game, Far Cry 5, came out a mere 8 months ago, March 27th, 2018. That would mean that basically as soon as Far Cry 5 ended, they started work on Far Cry 6, or possibly as Far Cry 5 was coming out, they were working on Far Cry 6, leaving them not really much time or resources to work on the expansions for Far Cry 5, which resulted in some kind of bad expansions, let's be real. But all this falls in place if this is really a sequel to Far Cry 5, and it does make a lot more sense. I personally am completely open to this. We may have a lot of post-apocalyptic games, but we don't really have any in the vein of Far Cry. Now you may be yelling at me saying there's plenty of open world ones like that, but nothing that follows the sort of gunplay that Far Cry does. Far Cry's almost old school in a way. Shooters were pretty distinct around the late to mid 2000s, and Far Cry never really changed outside of that as far as the gunplay goes. It may have added in some skill trees, but it didn't go overly RPG. It also didn't take the hero shooter route, it didn't really follow the trends that other games were doing, so we still have this base Far Cry feel. Nothing else can really replicate what Far Cry does, so a post-apocalyptic Far Cry game is something I'm more than open to. And I'm already getting kind of excited just based off of the weapon we saw at the end of this trailer. This thing really reminds me of the Buzzsaw Bow from Killing Floor 1, which was one of my favorite weapons for the Berserker class. It leads me to believe that, yes, we'll probably still have some of your generic guns like an AK here and there, but we're also going to have more interesting apocalyptic weapons like you see in, say, Metro Last Light. Which is another interesting thing to point out. The next Metro game is also doing sort of an open world thing, so maybe these two games are going to be competing with each other. But as of right now, they only showed this teaser trailer. We'll know more tomorrow at the Game Awards, so I want to direct your attention to one last thing. An article PC Gamer posted back in 2015. This article is about a poll that Ubisoft did, discussing the future environments that Far Cry may go to. Now usually I would ignore this because it's just a poll, it doesn't really mean anything, but within this poll, a lot of the environments were actually used in Far Cry games since that time. Let's go over these environments. A Far Cry game in remote Alaska about surviving extreme wilderness. I've always said that Russia would make for an interesting Far Cry game, and I feel like Alaska and Russia could be somewhat interchangeable as far as the game mechanics would go, although Russia would give you a little more variety in what you could do. I don't think they would actually go here because we kind of saw something similar in the environments in Far Cry 4 when you're up in the Himalaya Mountains. A Far Cry game in a futuristic sci-fi setting on another planet, this is exactly what we got with Lost on Mars. A Far Cry game set in the Vietnam War during the 1960s, this is exactly what we got in Hours of Darkness, even if it wasn't very good. A Far Cry game set in the cocaine trafficking jungles of Peru. I've always said South America would be really interesting for Far Cry, it just is a natural fit, and we haven't gotten anything like it in the Far Cry franchise. I think the closest thing to that we got was Far Cry 2 in Africa, but that's still obviously very different, so I would be okay to this. A Far Cry game where you can fight against or join vampires, why is this on here? No. A Far Cry game in the spaghetti western style set in the late 19th century Americas. With Red Dead Redemption 2 coming out, I can see why they wouldn't do this, but it would be interesting. A Far Cry game set during the zombie outbreak. We got this with the last expansion of Far Cry 5. Also, please no more zombies. We've done zombies to death. We can just go away with that. That would be one of the few things that would make me completely uninterested in the new Far Cry game. Blood Dragon 2, a sequel to Blood Dragon with more Rex power cult. Please just give us this, Ubisoft. I don't want this as a full game because I feel like it would overstay its welcome, but just give us an expansion. Give us like Far Cry 6 Blood Dragon 2, because Far Cry 6 is most likely going to be the next Far Cry game. I just want more Blood Dragon. Everyone does. This one's really important. A A Far Cry game set in a Mad Max style post-apocalyptic world, this is what we are going to be getting. A Far Cry game based on the world of Shangri-La from Far Cry 4, I feel like this would be really interesting, but it's also one of those things that would only work as a standalone expansion like Blood Dragon, but I would be totally okay with that. And the last one on this poll, a Far Cry game in the present day on a Jurassic Park style island of dinosaurs. Why did you not do this? This is the one that really stands out most to me. The dinosaur craze kind of came and went, and now it's coming back. Games like Ark are very successful, and the re-releases of Turok also made a lot of money. People want dinosaur stuff, and this is absolutely perfect for Far Cry. I mean, just imagine an open world Far Cry game with dinosaurs. Do I really need to say much more? I feel like this was the basis of Far Cry Primal, because Primal was not out at the time of this poll. They saw that and thought it would be a great idea to just turn it into something else entirely that no one really wanted. But the important thing about this poll is that a lot of environments were done in games that came after the poll. So Ubisoft is clearly listening. So this is all leading up to Far Cry 6, or what I think is going to be Far Cry 6 announced tomorrow. It seems to be a true sequel to Far Cry 5, which does have me a little concerned, I'm not going to lie. What I think they might end up doing is just take the Far Cry 5 map and make it apocalyptic. Not a new map entirely, just the same one we already had, but apocalyptic, and I'm mixed on this feeling. The first one is that, yeah, it's kind of lame that it's the same map. Obviously, we want something new. But on the other hand, it would be genuinely interesting to see what happened here. I don't think that would warrant a $60 game though. So that's what has me concerned. Let's be real, I love the Far Cry franchise, and really aside from the last expansions in Far Cry 5, nothing has disappointed me. Even Primal, I just wasn't interested in it because a Far Cry game without guns doesn't quite have my interest, but I didn't think the game itself was bad, it just wasn't exactly what I wanted. But to give you the too long didn't watch, Far Cry 6 possibly being announced tomorrow, going to be set in a post-apocalyptic world, might be a sequel to Far Cry 5, I'm willing to bet on all three of those things. Hope you guys have enjoyed this video, and I will see you guys next time. Hey everyone, thank you guys for watching. If you want more of me, I'm more active on Twitch these days. I stream almost every single day to my Twitch. You can see it in the top left of the screen, twitch.tv/Jarek4GameandDragon. I mostly do a lot of shooters, and I do play with my subs, so if you want to come check me out, then give a follow.